Formula E conference. This event arises from the collaboration of Milan for Business and Bocconi Students Motorclub and the interest for sustainable mobility. Currently, the transport sector is responsible for around a quarter of global greenhouse emissions, but the cars racing the competition, they have zero emission and they are powered by a renewable diesel fuel. And there is more, also their tires, for example, they're 100% recyclable. The Formula E competition can just be considered as that, given its willingness to share values and raise awareness towards sustainable topics through sports.
Hi, I'm Claudio Calvieri and I'm the president of Bocconi Students Motorclub. It was a great pleasure for me and for all of us to organize this meeting along with the Student Association Green Light for Business. We worked hard together to realize a conference about the pressing facts on Formula E. This championship is a center of research and innovation, alongside with the fun that the competition brings along. As a matter of fact, the championship is structured exclusively on city circuits, created with the exact purpose of offering the potential for a number of overtakes with low margin of error. Most importantly, the crucial mechanical innovation is represented by the fact that the cars running the championship are exclusively electrically powered. Within this dynamic contest of the Formula E Championship in Italy, we, BSM and Green Light for Business, truly believe in the investment made in this kind of competition. Sergio Marchionne, CEO of Scuderia Ferrari, will blink the eye to this challenge too. He is in fact supporting the discussion between some relevant factories and the city of Rome, centered on holding a race throughout the roads of the capital city. In conclusion, we greet Bocconi University and its representative, Professor Castelnuovo, for giving us the possibility to realize this meeting. We thank Manuel Ortiz-Tallo, Head of Events, Formula E. We thank Gaia Crusizio, Activation Manager for ENEL. We thank Marcelo Padin, Director of Electric Motor News. And last but not least, a special thank goes to the whole team of Green Light for Business, with whom it was a pleasure to work. Thank you.
Thank you to the two Students Association for calling for motorsports and Green Light for Business. My name is Matteo Castelnuovo, and I'm the director here at Bocconi of the Master on Energy and Environment, and very happy to be here. And let me say I'm surprised by this huge amount of people, not because it's not an interesting event, but because it's after 6 p.m. So in my days we would go for an aperitivo, but clearly you are much better than, unless you guys promise the free buffet afterwards. Yeah. So make no mistake, there's no free buffet. So I'm not joking, but I mean really, this is a very interesting topic. Thank you for being here. Thank you for inviting me. And I have to say that in my research area, we definitely look at energy markets, energy technology, and sustainability. And I very much like what you said about using sport as a driver to promote sustainability. And these are, in case you haven't noticed, rather difficult times, okay, particularly after recent elections in somewhere part in the world, and for sustainability in general. And so you could argue that we need all weapons at our disposal. So very happy to hear also sport could play a part in this role. I have to say that in our own sort of master, but also as some of our students here can confirm, we definitely talk about electricity, we definitely talk about ENEL extensively. We talk about electric vehicles, because what we see in the last few years or so is that actually there's a convergence, and it's sort of one of the most disruptive drivers in the industry. And this convergence is basically among the energy industry, the automotive industry, and the ICT. If you want one example for that, that would be, for instance, Apple. Apple is a leading company in ICT, is developing self-driverless cars, and is actually from next August will probably be able to sell electricity as well. So it's a very interesting time. So we definitely look at electric cars, but we never had the opportunity to look at the sports side of it. So I very much look forward to this conference. So thank you for the attention. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and I will now leave the floor to Marcelo Padin, journalist from Electric Motor News. Thank you.
Good evening to all. Thank you. Thank you very much to all to be here. Good evening. I would like to approach about electric vehicles and from the beginning of my history with vehicles, with electric vehicles. And you can see this photo, the first photo. This is an all-cover Auto Elettrica. This was the first electric car magazine in Italy. I made it in the February 1992, some years ago. And I can say that I discovered some special word. I never imagined that there can be such word behind these cars, because at first I see it like a product, but I don't think in the first times like problematics, like batteries and charge. And in the second photo we have young Ivan Capelli, with me young also, in 1994. With some Milan, is a Danish electric car, and we invited Ivan Capelli for some 12 hours of Milan that has been living these years near Porta Vittoria, I remember. And I began with the electric car races in Bologna 1991. Was the Gran Premio 4E, and this we can see that it was the old time of the prehistorical time of Formula E, we can say. In the next photo you can see this is the first cover of the Gran Premio 4E in 1988 that has been made by Quattro Ruote in Castle of Milan. And after that I arrived, like I said, 3 years later to the electric car races. And we can see other photos, some starting grid about, this is in Monza, and there was different categories in this time about electric cars. Was motorcycles, electric motorcycles, solar cars, and at first was divided the categories by weight, different weight of the cars, also electric cars, like you say. And then arrived to the Formula E. In 2011, I began to hear the Formula E. Of course, I continued to work in the field of electric vehicles, with seeing a lot of development of the different topics of electric vehicles, batteries, type of charge, type of systems, and such things. Of course, I like very much the car races, always, of my life. And when I began to hear about Formula E in 2011, I began to thinking I have to go there, and okay, it was reality in 2014, the first race in the Beijing. And I don't know if it's possible to see some contribution with the YouTube, some small about what say the drivers. You can see Janno Trulli as example. What he said, some interviews that I made with him in Donington Park in England before the beginning of the championship. I hope that can be possible. In any case, it was very interesting for me. Of course, I can say that I grew with Formula E, and this man can testimony because he saw me in all races, and of course it's great.
Siamo Trulli nelle prove di Donington con un po' di problemi questa mattina.
No, abbiamo fatto le nostre prove, stiamo analizzando un attimino i dati, sono un sacco di sistemi da mettere a posto, e quindi a livello elettronico stiamo giocando un po' per capire quali sono i settaggi migliori. Purtroppo siamo arrivati molto in ritardo rispetto a tutti gli altri team, almeno 8 mesi su questo progetto, e quindi stiamo cercando di recuperare il più possibile. Ebbene, credo che al momento il mio team è tra i primi 3, c'è ancora qualcosina da migliorare, però siamo sulla buona strada.
Come mai questa svolta epocale, tra virgolette, nella carriera sportiva di Arnold Trulli, dalla Formula 1 che è il top dell'automobilismo termico al top dell'automobilismo elettrico.
Beh, hai detto bene, sono sceso dalla Formula 1 e non ho voluto fare nient'altro perché non c'era granché da imparare, da fare a livello professionale. Invece qui credo che stia nascendo una bella categoria futuristica, una Formula 1 totalmente elettrica, che possa dare delle belle soddisfazioni e soprattutto lo sviluppo tecnologico per il futuro. Quindi sono passato dal massimo della tecnologia applicata al motore termico al massimo della tecnologia applicata al motore elettrico.
Devo dire che noi...
Ecco, this is what say Arnold Trulli in Donington Park in some free test before the beginning with the championship in Beijing 2014. I have more things to do, but I'm going to be very, very quickly to do all. And last and not least, I suppose that all people hear something about Ferrari in Formula E, and I suppose that more than one have interesting about it can happen or not. I spoke in Mexico City in last race with Marco Paroni, that is the manager of the Julius Baer Bank, and he worked in FCA Group. And we can see the interview, it's a long interview, but in the first part of the interview he speaks about FCA Group and Ferrari and Maserati and Alfa Romeo and what can be with Formula E. E siamo insieme a Marco Paroni, Global Head Sponsoring di Formula E con la banca Julius Baer, con delle novità, perché Marco Paroni ha sempre delle novità da portare per Electric Motor News. E questa volta è molto interessante perché si parla del gruppo FCA, si parla di Ferrari, si parla di Alfa Romeo, si parla di Maserati. Cosa ci puoi dire?
Beh, cosa ti posso dire? Ho già avuto l'occasione di parlare proprio perché se si sa che ho lavorato sia in FGA e anche in Ferrari, dunque ho diciamo, un attaccamento personale al gruppo e naturalmente prima cosa mi fa molto piacere, già 2 o 3 mesi fa mi sembra ho avuto un'intervista su questo tema, mi fa molto piacere vedere che il gruppo FGA, perché per me manca, naturalmente anche come italiano, manca nella Formula E. Oggi è venuta la comunicazione che Marchione ha detto che la Ferrari ha bisogno della Formula E ed è chiaro che qui molte persone si hanno cominciato un po' a interessarsi un po' più adesso se c'è questa possibilità di vedere la Ferrari o anche un brand del gruppo in Formula E. Personalmente vedo sicuramente 2 o 3 marchi, 2 o 3 brand del gruppo FGA, non direttamente Ferrari, non so se veramente Ferrari vuole essere coinvolta nella Formula E, penso che qui possono parlare sia Marchione o anche altri del gruppo che possono dare più dettagli. Quello che io posso dire dal mio personalmente, vedrei sicuramente un Alfa Romeo perché c'è tanta voglia, e questo lo dissi anche nell'ultima intervista, c'è tanta voglia di entrare, si parla sempre di Formula 1, io vedrei l'Alfa Romeo sicuramente in Formula E o anche la Maserati ha, penso, nei prossimi 2 o 3 anni vedremo sicuramente nel portfolio di modelli delle vetture plug-in o anche delle vetture 100% elettriche, dunque sono 2 marchi che hanno molta storia di motorsport, sia Alfa Romeo che Maserati, dunque ideale sarebbe, chiaro Ferrari è top, vedere Ferrari in Formula E io penso sarebbe un valore enorme aggiuntivo per tutto il progetto Formula E, ma sicuramente anche Alfa Romeo e Maserati sarebbero un grande valore in più con tutti adesso questi manufacturers che stiamo vedendo, dunque via.
Thanks, Andrea. At the end, okay, of course, I believe in Formula E like the first category about electric cars worldwide. Also because it's the first step in the world of electric motorsport, because I'm sure that in few years we're beginning to grow categories like electric go-karts, electric touring cars, motorcycles and so on. Also this special system that we use in Formula E like fan boost, very interesting because it gives the possibility with some extra energy for a few moments to manage the energy, manage the race, and it's very important for the spectacle. And the spectacle is something that is guarantee in Formula E, because in all races we always have very nice emotions during the race. At the end, I created Motor News. I saw before that I also grow like with the Formula E, and I want to say thanks to Simone Rambaldi that is here, that now go with me to the Formula E, to Lia Maranto that is here and follow us behind the scena, and Daniele Drago that is my cameraman that is there. Thanks to all, and thanks to you all. And now it's your turn, Simone Rambaldi.
Hello everybody. As usual, I always make one question. How many of you drive electric car? Raise your hand. Okay, it's way better than last year and much better than 20 years ago. So actually we can see the world is changing. I have a small study of what's going on in Formula E from a technology innovation perspective. You think, why manufacturers invest money in Formula E? Because they want knowledge. They want to know how to build electric cars, because electric cars is something new. It's something very different from a normal car. It's actually, an electric car is more like a battery with wheels. It's not a car with a battery. So we can see the car as something very different. The electric car can be an electric storage, can power your house, can do peak shaving. It will change all the market of electricity. So it's not just vehicles, it's something different. Formula E. Formula E was born to allow manufacturers to gain the knowledge without investing too much money. Motorsport is expensive, very expensive. If you want to lower the money, you have to constrain this research and development. Manufacturer needs 3 major points to build an electric car: a good battery, a good inverter, and a good motor. Researching all these 3 topics at once is expensive, so Formula E was built to create an improvement each year. Formula E started with the cars all the same, with everything completely the same across the teams. This was made to allow teams to create a record database of what the cars are doing. So you can do research if you have a starting point. If you have a basic data to compare on when you do something new. You cannot understand if a motor is better or worse if you don't have a reference. So first years of Formula E was to create this database, was to create a starting point. We saw earlier all the races. I was also at the Castle in 1988 watching the cars. Why we don't use that as a reference? Because that is lead acid, was completely different technology. It's not comparable to today's technology. You can go to the next. Okay, first cycle. All the cars are the same. We gain a starting point. We start researching. We invest money for understanding what is the current technology. First cars are built more or less like a normal electric car, one like it's driving every day, so it was a starting point. The second cycle, teams gain the freedom to work on their motor and their inverters. What is motor and what is an inverter? Inverter is power electronics. It's something that converts the current from the battery to what you feel under the gas pedal. When you push the throttle, you're actually telling the inverter, I want torque, I want power. So this is what the manufacturer are gaining as a knowledge doing Formula E now. We are at the end of the second cycle. Now they learned how to make a driver happy. so they know how to make a car giving a good feeling. Because one marketing point of an old gas car, they say, oh, electric car is like driving a dishwasher, a cleaning machine. So that's not true. I have an electric motorcycle. Trust me, if you open the throttle with my tuning of electronics, you forget gas motorcycle, period. You're already at the next turning. No period. Electric motors can have full torque at 0 RPM. You can just flip the motorbike on your head if you want. It's just a matter of software, tuning, knowledge, and investment. Because all this knowledge costs money, costs time. Motorsport is a good way to gain knowledge, to later use it in production. Third cycle, battery. As I told, an electric car, it's a battery with wheels. In Andrea's car, more of the 50% of the value of the car is actually the value of the battery. So, reducing the cost of the battery means to be more competitive on the market, to have a huge advantage in selling. For example, Tesla. What was the first step of Tesla? To buy a battery factory, to build a better battery factory. Because today, everything needs energy. If you have a good battery, you have the entire electric car market, the entire energy storage market, the entire computer laptop battery market, the entire cell phone battery market, the entire portable tools battery market. It's a huge amount of money. Huge amount of money. And the technology you need to build a battery is the same. You can build an electric car, a bicycle, it's all the same technology. So the investment on this, it's used on a lot of things. So it's a good investment. So next year, teams, no, it's just stay on that. It's the last one. I'm pretty sure. Next year, teams will start learning the battery. So they will start developing knowledge for your house, for your grid, for the renewable energy market. Because when you know how to build a good battery, you gain the access to a lot more market than just the car market. It's very easy. There are huge improvements to do. Car manufacturers are not able now to do it, but they don't want to be pushed away by other competitors. Because in an electric car, you don't have competition between different car brands. Google can do an electric car. Samsung can do an electric car. Because you're not building a car with a battery. You're building a battery with wheels. So even a battery manufacturer can be your competitor if you are a car manufacturer. To survive, you need to evolve. If you don't evolve, you die. That's it.
Thank you, Simone. So, if you want an electric car, please take care of your battery. Okay. I'll leave the stage to Gaia.
So, good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here and may I say excited, as it's the first time we go on air in an academic world. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm also happy to be the one speaking after Simone, because he highlighted some key points that address the question why you invited me here. That is, why a multinational like ENEL decides to invest in a sponsorship that is the very first one of its kind, that is Formula E. So today I will try to address this question, to be as smooth as I can, and I will try, I will start with the concept of Formula E. Of course, this is Manuel's business, so I will try to be short, but yeah,
I hope so.
I promise. I promise. Now here, we just highlighted which are the main characteristics of Formula E, the ones that struck our attention. So, first of all, as I think most of you know, it's the fully electric single-seater race series that run within the center, the urban center of cities. It's the first sport that, as Simone was saying, gives a framework for sustainability, sustainable mobility and for research and development. And, of course, it involves fans. So there is this customer centricity that it's close to ENEL, new business perspective, new business positioning. But actually, the three pillars that most interest us were those 3 E's: energy, environment, and entertainment. So these are the pillars of Formula E, but somehow reminds of our business. And we'll see how. Power in Change. What is Power in Change? Power in Change is the campaign that we decided to choose for our partnership. We decided to choose this campaign because we thought there were lots of synergies between ENEL and Formula E. What is open power? Open power is the repositioning, because again, I will link to Simone's work. He said something that is very correct. If the environment around you evolves and you don't evolve within and with the environment, you die. So at a certain point in time, new trends, new competition, the new customer itself that became the competitor for ENEL made us think that it was high time to reposition ourselves and becoming a platform, an open power platform that is collaborating, innovating, making business, not only being close with ourselves, but also opening ourselves outside. And our ambition being an energy business is to open first of all, our grids, then opening new services, the new services that arise when we think differently about items and technologies we've always produced, such as batteries. Open generation for sustainable and renewable technologies, of course, and last but not least, the culture, open up our culture, because we have to rethink about the old elephant we wear, let's say. We want to become an agile horse and innovate as much as possible. And Formula E Championship, with its willingness to become a world-leading entertainment brand, its 3 pillars, the sustainable future, well, we thought we could do it, we could collaborate. So, which is the common goal? It's setting the new frontier of the environmental sustainability, technological innovation and entertainment. This means that we want to make Formula E, we want to collaborate with them to make it the first, let's say, the most sustainable event from an energy point of view in the leisure and entertainment industry. But of course, what does this bring back to? What does it bring back to ENEL? We, of course, we are a business, a huge business. There must be some strategy behind it. So, first of all, Formula E represents a testing field for our movable storage and the possibility we have to integrate storage solution with generation sources, and especially renewables one. Then we can integrate the cars. I don't know if you know about the vehicle-to-grid solution. ENEL is the leader in this technology. And what does this mean? That the battery becomes, well, the car becomes a battery on wheels. So it can provide back to the grid the energy in excess when it doesn't use it, to make the grid more reliable, to make the grid more flexible, especially during energy peak times. And last but not least, trying new solution application for our market, for our business to consumers or business to business market. And then we have the possibility to assess business model and to connect with our startup ecosystem. And this addresses the need to open ourselves to the outside, to all the ideas that a Google or even a small startup has that impacts our business. So this is a very, let's say, the first sponsorship of its kind, because it combines two aspects. It combines the aspect of a pure sponsorship, that is brand visibility, brand awareness, but it combines also the technology aspect, that is the in-kind. We call it the in-kind. What is the in-kind? It's providing Formula E with ENEL cutting-edge technologies, providing the so-called microgrid, that is a portable combination of more correctly, 5 items that can help the whole event to be independent from an energy point of view, stable, reliable. So this is not the nice picture of what's happening behind the scenes. So what ENEL is doing, we are rolling out our smart meters system that keeps on tracking the energy used within the whole event. So the different areas that we have in the event, we know constantly what's happening in there. We know how to enhance the use of energy. Then we roll out battery storage and photovoltaic generation capacity, we combine the two. And then we have the electrical vehicle charging technology. We are developing it to also, let's say, on behalf of the funds that are there. So our objective is to bring them to the funds. And we combine them with our software tool. So, yeah, basically we want to showcase what is going to be the future of a smart city. Because what's happening in Formula E is something that will happen sooner or later, and we are betting the sooner will happen. It will happen in the cities. It will be the next close future. And we are testing it today with Formula E to bring it to the customer. So I brought you a video, and I hope it works, that showcases a little bit in a more, let's say, fun way, what I was talking about. So let's know. I need the help of Regina. Vai. No, Stefano.
Formula E, powered by ENEL. ENEL will design a fully digitised energy microgrid for Formula E. Smart metering technology will monitor power usage, and fans will interact with an advanced energy system in real time. Formula E will run on ENEL's green power. Existing generators will be coupled with solar panels to produce cleaner energy on site. Unused energy will be stored in a state-of-the-art battery system which will manage it and distribute it across the event when needed. Formula E will use ENEL's innovative charging technologies. The electric fleet, the electric cranes and the electric buses, as well as fans and sponsors' transportations, will be charged with the same clean energy used for the Formula E cars. The future of racing, powered by ENEL.
we want to bring this knowledge, this information to the global audience, to everybody that is participating in the event. So we do it actually activating, and this is basically my job. So what we do is to bring all the information as much as possible to the public through the stand and through the power in change concept. What happens in the stand? Why is the stand so important? Because we showcase here all the technologies. So the technologies of the microgrid, as we saw, smart meter is the core. Is the core of the microgrid. Then we link the solar power, the electric vehicle, recharging infrastructure, so the vehicle to grid, and energy storage. And we want to bring this content as much as possible to make a value-added event, because we believe that fans need to know more about the event, not only in terms of the race, but in terms of what this race means from an energy point of view. So besides the stand, we bring also the content with our forms, like a game, like snack content that you can find throughout the event, but especially with the so-called ENEL Energy app. We made a little focus on this. The ENEL Energy app is something that allows customers to see real-time what's happening during the race, and gives more information about also teams and whatever happens and whatever is related to the event. Last but not least, economics. So here, basically, we wanted to bring you which were the KPI under the evaluation that we made before deciding to invest. Of course, you can see there are some qualitative KPI and quantitative KPI. We thought that media reach and activation engagement opportunities that fall within the qualitative category were the most important, as of course they are measurable. We can measure the media reach from all the activities that are constantly tracked also by Formula E. We can also, of course, measure the activation and engagement opportunities that are the ones most related to business opportunity. And then we have brand equity. Brand equity is the qualitative. Okay, I think we should see it the other way around. We wrote the qualitative instead of quantitative. Anyway. So brand equity is the calculation of the premium factor. So what we are calculating is how much the perception of a brand improves once people know it is associated with the Formula E Championship. And last column, you can see the weight that each KPI has. So, well, I hope I give you a full picture of why ENEL is investing and what is ENEL purpose with the Formula E. And yeah, stop, that's it.
Thank you very much. We leave the stage to Manuel Ortiz-Tallo, is the head of event for Formula E.
Hello, good evening to everybody. First of all, thank you very much for your invitation. It's my first
There was
time.
absolutely nothing.
It's my first time in Bocconi, and I'm very happy to be here. So, as Gaia, I think, and Simone, they have talked too much about, let's say, the technical part, and as I've seen that you are motorsport association, so I will speak about motorsport. No? So I think it's the final, and then afterwards, with your questions, if you have any specific question, I can answer. Well, the first thing I would say, I've been all my life just a very little presentation of myself, so I have a very old friend here, which is the part of motorsport in Italy, and so I've been, since I finished my studies in the university in Spain, I began to work in the Royal Automobile Club of Spain, in the Jarama circuit, and then from there, so I've been working in Formula 1, MotoGP, World Superbike, the World Rally Championship, Champ Car in America, I don't know if I don't, but I've been involved in all the major motorsports in my life. And I was telling you just half an hour ago that I had, when I was your age, I had to make a decision because I was a driver. We all begin willing to drive and everything. And it seems that I was good. I was pole position in Jarama circuit, and so I was good. But an older person those days came to me and he said to me, well, Manolo, really, I would like you to be the team manager. I was 22 years old, no? So instead of driving. And then I had to take a decision in my life, which was, let's continue driving and spending money, or let's try to have a salary every year, or excuse me, every month, for doing what I love. That was motorsport. Well, I took the decision of leaving driving, let's say professionally, and I became an organizer, let's say, of these all championships that I taught. Well, I am now 60 years old. I took that decision with 22. I think I made the right decision. Instead of spending money, I continue being here. In a very difficult world, motorsport is not very easy to maintain so many years. Another thing that I think is interesting for you to know is, well, as I've been involved in motorsport always, two very important people, I think it's better not to give the names, but let's say that the two most important persons of Formula 1 and MotoGP, they both phoned me and told me, Manolo, go to London, you are not going to do even one race. Well, now I am here, I'm very proud to tell you that we have done already 25 races in the city center of the most important cities in the world, with one, for me, has been probably the most challenging work I've ever had, because you have to understand now that we don't go to permanent tracks. So I have to build a track in the streets, with walls, fences, and all FIA regulations, and do it as quick as possible, and remove it as quick as possible for not disturbing the citizens. Because if not, they will be our enemies. So this is the most difficult challenge I've ever had. And I think we have succeeded. At least we have succeeded until now. You never know what is going to happen in the future because, for instance, you can understand a big crash, terrorism attack in the city center or wherever can just, sorry for the word, fuck the whole championship and the whole idea. So really the challenge is there. We continue doing our best, but really it's very difficult. It's very difficult to, now we are, let's say in Formula E in London, in the headquarters, we are 95 people working. So I was completely surprised because in other championships you do not need so many employees just to run a championship. And when I was looking, so many people coming every day, new people, very young people, and I was surprised, you know, because normally I've never had so many resources in my life as I have now. But excuse me, it's needed, because really in a normal championship, Formula 1, MotoGP, IndyCar, whatever, they go from a permanent track to a permanent track. What does that mean? You know where the race control is, where the media center is, where the medical center is, and everything. In a city center, I have to build a medical center, a media center, race control, and everything, with non-permanent structures, and to build it and to dismantle in a period of time as short as possible. For instance, as you probably know, next week we have the race in Monte Carlo, And the following week, because our bosses are always putting more challenges, we have another race in Paris. So I have to split all my people and all, because normally there are people who comes, let's say, 3 weeks before the event, other people who comes 2 weeks before the event. If I have 2 races in a row, so I have to split the people, to send one people, let's say technicians, overall technicians, no? The energy technicians, all the generators, aqua fuel, all this aqua fuel, which is a system, just very shortly, is a system that is a generator, but with diesel. So it's 3 big containers that you have to unload in a city street with normally trees, traffic. So really, it's a big challenge. It's also very expensive, as you can understand. First of all, for instance, walls and fences, which are the FIA regulations that you have to absolutely comply. If not, you cannot do a race. Walls and fences, I cannot, let's say, transport the walls from Paris to... Why? Because the cost of transporting 500 walls of 4 meters long, 1 meter tall, and 60 centimeters in the base is impossible. You need 400 trucks going from one place, and it's so expensive. So at the end, you have to build walls. Sorry for saying these type of things, because I don't want to hide the reality. We are sustainable a little. And we are trying to push the industry as much as possible. But excuse me, I continue having generators with gas oil, because I need electricity for the VIPs, the hospitalities and everything.
We are working on this.
They are working. We need, obviously, we need the help of these type of big companies as ENEL, because we are very new. Remember, Formula 1 is 60, 70 years old, MotoGP is more or less the same, and we are in our third season. We are very new, and we need that, let's say that the people begin to understand that this is an effort. Okay, if you live in one of the buildings, which is, and you have the track, you are not going to be one of our best friends, because probably you cannot park your car in the same place that you park every day, because I put one wall and a fence over there, and so this disturbs. Excuse me, we cannot do a race without all the safety measures that the FIA and overall ourselves we need. And to build a circuit is complicated in a permanent track. It's already done for many years, and so what does the Formula 1? Okay, 9 jumbos, 747 freight, going from one place to another, DHL does everything, and then you go to a permanent track. It's not our case. It's not our case, and so I think this is, after 3 or 4 years now in this project, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe in this project in the beginning when they offered me the possibility. But now I have to say that I am very proud of what we have achieved in so short time. So a new championship. I've seen so many new championships that they have lived. So, and we continue being in our critical zone, because it's only 3 years. So let's say I've seen championships of 6, 7 years, and then they disappeared. Really, having the support of all these big makes, having the support of all the manufacturers, that Mercedes is asking us for one position in the team on the year 5, is absolutely amazing. That Ferrari is thinking, for me, is already amazing, not that the Ferrari can think in height. But already we have, as you know, we have Renault, we have Citroën, we have Audi, we have Mahindra, we have BMW, so it's not that we are alone. I've never seen in motorsport a championship with so many manufacturers. But the answer is very clear of what you said. They want us, or they need us, just to develop the technology, and to know really how this could work in the future. So they are using us and we are using them. No? This championship, as you are economic students, all of you, now is not profitable at all. Absolutely. As you can understand. Excuse me, we spend so many millions in every single race to make a track. And, excuse me, unfortunately, even with the sponsor, we don't arrive to pay this huge amount of money. Then you could say, well, there is a big, let's say, there are big investors in our company. Now, we were bought 2 years ago by Liberty Global, which is the company that now has bought the Formula One. So this means that if they have paid 7,000 millions or billions, I don't know what they have paid for the Formula One, this means that what they have invested in our company is just peanuts for them. So I hope that really we are not having financial problems in the future. And regarding manufacturers, as we are saying, it seems that all the manufacturers. And let's finish, because I know that you want to make questions on everything, about the cities. Also, the cities is so difficult. So difficult to arrive to agreements with people that are politicians, that normally are changing every 4 years. So if you sign an agreement on the 3rd year, it could be that the following year you are out again because the new party comes and say, no, we don't want the Formula E. So also to make agreements with the cities are difficult. To make a proper calendar, I remember 4 years ago when I was explaining a little bit to this, our CEO Alejandro Gaia, I said, Alejandro, one of the things that will be the most difficult thing is to make calendars. Calendars is difficult, but Formula One. They have more or less the same calendar. Okay, the Grand Prix in the Monza one doesn't change because it's always in September or whatever, but what you can change is 1 week before or later. But that's the, we are new. So we are creating new cities. And I have to say that this year, as you know, we are racing in New York. I think that Bernie Ecclestone will just cry a little bit because it was his dream all his life, no? To have a Formula One in New York. Well, we are having a race in New York this year. Next year, new cities, Brazil is coming. I don't want to say because there are journalists here and they are taking everything. So you have to wait until the FIA made the proper calendar. But there are a lot of cities, and we have been already in Beijing, we have been in the city center of Beijing, Hong Kong, Paris, New York, London, so really big cities. Buenos Aires, Mexico. Okay, but really we are getting there. No? I hope, because I'm quite old now, I expect to be 5 or 6 more years, no more than that. And I hope that this championship is a reality in the future. I think you all, with your age, I don't know when. There are many people saying, no, but the Formula E is the one which is going to be the Formula One. First of all, don't make comparisons. Don't make comparisons because it doesn't have sense. First of all, they have, let's say, 100 more money, 100 times more money than the one. And I don't say that we are poor, because I've seen many championships that they are like this, and we have strong support. But to compare with Formula Ones and all the figures of Formula One is ridiculous. And even but I think if we can help, just with a little grain of sabia, no? Or just to help the industry and to help the manufacturers to make the life of all of you. I do not have children, so I'm not worried about the future, but I'm worried about all of you. No, really. I think that, as I told you, I didn't believe in this project when they contracted me. And now I have to say that I am one of the biggest defenders in this championship, and I hope it lasts as much as possible, because is another way of understanding motorsport. I've been all my life in motorsport, and this is different. It's completely different. Thank you very much, and the next time I hope.
Thank you very much for your speech. Now the stage to Professor Grea, and researcher at CERTeT in Bocconi.
Okay, thanks first of all to our hosts for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity of concluding this session. I try to be quick and focused and just to wrap up a bit the information which has been brought to us by our guests, so that we have a bit of time for interesting questions and answers. First of all, let me start with a provocative question. We are talking about Formula E, we are talking about car, but is it really about cars? Is it really about cars as we are used to imagine? Because what we have seen is we needed to build a baseline, we needed to gain knowledge in research and development, technical aspects. We need to build some broader concept around e-mobility. These are what we call the smart mobility actors. I'm interested in sustainable and smart mobility from the academic point of view. And as you see, basically, it's a competition. It's a competition, and it seems the real race is among industries rather than among cars. We have different actors. We have seen two different perspectives today. We have seen the perspective of automotive players, which need to stay competitive, to reinvent themselves, and at the same time to compete with other players, because as Simone said, basically an electric vehicle is very exciting, but still is a battery with wheels. And at the same time, we have seen a different approach which is coherent with the next stages of Formula E, as I understood, which is the approach presented by ENEL, where somehow Formula E is a chance to do research in new concepts and new business models for smart cities, for new ideas of mobility, new ideas of intelligent mobility, which of course involve cars, but probably involve cars in different way if compared to what we are used to consider cars. So the vehicles of the future, we all know somehow that the vehicles of the future will be generated, and the mobility of the future will be generated by the interaction of three main networks. The telecommunication network, connected cars, autonomous vehicles, platforms allowing us to use rather than to own, and mobility networks, of course, because congestion still remains a relevant issue of our so-called or to become smart cities. And the third one, of course, is the energy network. The interaction of these networks give a completely different perspective on what the car, what the vehicle is going to be. So, in this framework, why electric then? The car is connected, shared, autonomous, but is also green. Electric because still we are facing, and research and development and industrialization process are facing three main challenges, which are related to the range anxiety, how long I can drive my car, with real costs today, as someone, I guess Simone said already, 50% of the cost of a small car can be attributed to batteries. And the third, last but not least, is what we have called asymmetric information. Basically, drivers and users or potential users don't know nothing about how an electric vehicle is made, what's his potential as a car, what's his potential as an element of the network, of the mobility network, of the energy network. And to a certain extent, I would say Formula E gives visibility, potentially, also to technical aspects which are related to what the mobility of the future is going to be through new vehicles and different way of using the vehicle and to including the vehicle into the smart city overview. We did a research together with Gaia's colleagues at ENEL Foundation, which I'll show you then. I do some commercial later. And what came out is that in order to to support the take-up of electromobility, we have basically 3 possible game changers which have to be interacted and be coordinated by policymakers. The first one is, of course, technological. We see that not only the technological development precisely is the main element. We talked about batteries, but especially talking about batteries, economies of scales and industrialization of the process are a relevant factor, and this is the more dynamic element of the technological scenario. Second aspect is organizational. As we said at the beginning, cars are something else. Cars are not only shared, but have a different value, have a different hedonic value for the final user, and this is something we have to take into account when we think of the next scenarios and overview, and we want to give a glance to the future of mobility from the electric point of view. And the third aspect is the policy aspect. So how are we going to accompany the take-up of electromobility? Formula E is putting outstanding efforts in promoting these issues and elements, but of course, policymakers have to support the take-up not only under the, let's say, infrastructural point of view, but also in fostering a sort of behavioral change in the final users. So, basically, this was a bit of a wrap-up of the main elements. I said time for commercial. This is the book we wrote with 2 colleagues about e-mobility. On one side, I would like to say again, the real race, even though Formula E